Welcome to the program, Perspectives. Perspectives this morning will be taking a peep at the president's visit to Imo State. President Muhammadu Buhari was in Imo State, an official visit. It began or started yesterday with the governor of the state, Hope Nzodima, and the people of Imo State giving him sharing welcome, so to say. But again, it's come with mixed feelings, and people are talking about it. And of course, some of the things that the president had said to the people of Imo State about why Imo State, or the Southeast as an enclave, is very important in the affairs of the nation. We'll get to hear more about it. But recall that IPOB, Indigenous Peoples of Biafra, had called on its people to sit at home. Now, that's also one of the questions to ask here, that a government in another government? We'll begin to look at that. My guest this morning is Dr. Yunus Tanko. Dr. Yunus Tanko is the chairman and a presidential aspirant, as it was, in the 2019 elections of the National Conscience Party. He's also the publicity secretary of the National Front, so to say. And he's held positions in matters of seeing to the affairs of this country and the unity of this country. A public affairs analyst, too. He's my guest by phone this morning. Dr. Yunus Tanko, good morning. I'm glad to have you on the show.
Good morning, Caroline, and good morning, Nigerians.
The president's visit began or started yesterday. It's come with mixed feelings. Now, the people of the Southeast and their position, so to say, of how they are, being, taken on with the affairs of the country. We also recall that a protest was seen even with this visit, that IPOB had called on its people, or the people of the Southeast, to stay away or to sit at home. That, again, is also questionable. But President Muhammadu Buhari had made some statements. Those statements I would want to take on in the program this morning. But again, let's take a look at the president's visit and what, for the people of Imo State and the entire Southeast, what this visit could mean to them.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me this morning. First of all, let me just start with a joke. I was just going through some of this social media stuff, some of the comments that people were making as regard to Mr. President's visit to Owerri, Imo State. Especially with the trouser. Somebody was saying that the person that sews the trouser was arrested. That didn't sew a nice trouser for Mr. President. And me knowing Mr. President very well, Mr. President himself, he likes humor. Sometimes he throws banter like that too. He will have looked at that particular posting of the arrest of the tailor and will have laughed over it. Yes. But the truth about it is that you cannot take away the simple fact from Mr. President, the manner in which he stood at a very big salute and standing, the posture of the standing of Mr. President and the way he held the offer in his hand. I saw him standing so straight. Nobody can take away this particular perfect posture of Mr. President. And at the same time, considering his age, he stood that way in respect of the people of the Southeast. I salute his courage. I salute the courage of the governor of the state for bringing the president to Imo State. And I think it was a good move, even though it was a little bit too late, but it was a fantastic, good move. Be as it may, it's also fact that the people of the Southeast have the right for making their own protest to establish some of their resentment as with regard to the way in which they perceive the leadership of the country is being run as against their own collective interests. And that, of course, was what you saw in probably the issue of the protest or stay-at-home order. But also, I must say that the stay-at-home order may have come with the fact that some people who may wish to come out to welcome Mr. President may have been afraid for their lives because there are notices of the enforcement of the stay-in order which has cost the lives and properties of some individuals. So while the indigenous people of Biafra try to enforce it, some other persons too may try to make sure that they give freedom to the people to decide on what they want, and they will have come out. But of course, the fear of visible attack or violence may make it much easier for people. Even if it's me, I will have preferably want to stay at home. But that those are the issues that we have observed in the visit. But quite honestly, I would have wished for a better presentation of Mr. President's speech. This is an epic event in the life and history of this country that would have reshaping the dynasty and the unity of this country. I don't know, probably the speech writers of Mr. President have taken a cue from all the happenings in the country, and they would have given a very wonderful speech from Mr. President that will have helped to resonate hope and then create this feeling of love that Mr. President had for the Igbo people over the years by speaking his own part of the story, of the narrative that has been created in the minds of the people. I know a lot of people will know me for being critical of some of the actions and inaction of Mr. President that have affect the people generally. I'm saying this for the fact that I knew for a long time, even though people now feel that Mr. President does not like the people from the Southeast, but I think a little bit different. The only area in which I have issues with is the implementation of some of the way in which his administration has managed the interests of the Southeast. That was the area I have business with, issue with. And I'm saying this based on the simple fact that I know from the first inception of Mr. President contest for presidency, his first choice of a vice president was an individual, a very fantastic individual from the Southeast, which is Chuba Okadigo. Was on a campaign trail with both gentlemen in Kano. So I can authoritatively say the synergy between the two of them was fantastic. And you know, both of them look so wonderfully handsome, and they are both tall. So the combination was so good. We thought it could have fly, but it didn't fly because of basic political interest, even from the Southeast. Then secondly, Mr. President chose Umezueke, who happened to be an Igbo man also from the Southeast, who happened to be the chairman even of his political party, the AMPP, as at that time. And Mezueke was the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives in Nigeria. And Mr. President gave him enormous trust that went along with it with the campaign. Unfortunately, even when Mr. President was challenging the election, as at that time, him, the vice presidential candidate of the party, did not go with Mr. President to the court. He rather chose to stay away from the issue of going to court and left General Muhammadu Buhari alone in the battle. But you see, all of these stories come from the simple fact that, interestingly also, the person who championed the cases for Mr. President as at that time was another fantastic gentleman, if I could remember his name now, Mike Ahamba, a fantastic gentleman who stood for Mr. President and fought all those battles. If I can remember, the issue was that he did not even collect any legal fee. He was doing it pro bono, if I may be right. And so there is this particular back and front love shown by the Southeastern people, and Mr. President showing his own also love for the Southeastern people and preferring them to have been a preferred vice presidential candidate. And these stories are not being told in the market so that the people will understand. Yes, there have been challenges along the line of some of the appointments in recent time that have not been done quite all right, I agree. But then that is not to show that Mr. President have a disdain and total dislikeness for the Igbo people. Because
Dr.
I'm
Eunice
saying
Franco,
yes.
let me also take you back a little, and
Yes.
and taking you back would mean about when the president first came on board, and one of the statements that he made about not getting his votes from the southeast, and
Exactly.
they took it to heart. That
Yes.
could that be the reason why they feel shortchanged in the running affairs of the country? And we could go back to appointments, like you were going to say about the southeast in other presidential level, that they've not been carried along. Why are they not part of the security architecture of the country? And is it that the president is still nursing these feelings that he did not get a collective vote of the from the southeast, and that could be the reason why? And they also say that appointments have not favored them, especially key appointments, so to say. And then we go back to even come back to the issue of presidential ticket as we get ready for 2023. That the body language of the president or at the top is not showing that the southeast could be considered in all of this. Your take here?
Okay, truly, I don't know how that particular statement came out of the mouth of Mr. President. Probably, sometimes Mr. President speaks the way he sees things without really being a politician. Mr. President has not shown his acumen with regard to how politics is being played in Nigeria and the kind of vibes, how people perceive your single word when it comes out of your mouth. Sometimes even me, myself, when I'm speaking in the radio, I always pray, or on the television, I always pray before I go out, like, let it be what I will say will be in the interest of the generality and guide my statement so that I won't misyan, let me use the word. Because at that time, the statement meant different things for different people. And for a lot of people, they felt insulted by that particular statement. That how can you say that people who vote for you 5% and then they are being... It was quite honestly a wrong statement. Mr. President may have couched it much better for people to understand that in politics, numbers too also play a game, but it's not intentional. But really, even as a that, I have been more or less like a promoter of Mr. President being more or less like bringing down or allocating positions generally that will be inclusive. I have said this to him directly as a member of the National Peace Committee when I had the opportunity to do so. I said it to him even when we were campaigning. So I had the opportunity of somebody who would have said, did he even try to discuss with the president? I did. And I said, and even when I went onto the air, I said, I would have preferred that Mr. President will have appointed Ogunaya Anu, a former chairman of the AMPP, as a way of their collective interest and the way of uniting this country to have been the Secretary of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, even though the Southeast people do not have an opportunity of becoming the Senate President based on the fact that they didn't have people in the National Assembly and all other. But the Secretary of the federal government was under the purview of Mr. President, and the AMPP was part of the conglomerate that come up with the APC, and Ogbonnainu played a major role. So you could have helped in breaking this particular accusation right from onset. That would have shown the unity. When you have probably a Southeastern man or a Yoruba man as the Senate President, or the case may be, or House Speaker of the Federal House, you could have had the Secretary of the Federal Government to have been Ogbonnainu, and it's a perfect gentleman with all level of standard, and he has worked very hard for that particular campaign. So that is where they started to miss the lines. And when Mr. President later on made those statements, it was very quite enunciating some other persons, and as well as, and then they come with the infrastructural decay. Even though Mr. President said they have given the contract out for the Enugu-Onitsha road, which up to today has not been completed. In the Eastern Bypass. These are monumental projects that Mr. President will have used as a political scorecard to have really championed and shut up some of his critics that will come from the Southeast. But unfortunately, Mr. President didn't take advantage of it. This is not to take away from the simple fact that the major project that is being done in the Southeast, which is the second Niger Bridge, people don't even give that particular project a symbolic feeling that it was the present regime that is completing it. They always feel as if it was former President Jonathan who started the project, but that is not to take away the credit from Muhammad Buhari. He actually put that project in motion, and it's for the benefit of the people in the southeast and for the benefit of Nigerians generally. So I think those who are managing the story of Mr. President are not doing a good job. And even though he himself had some challenges in ensuring that in this particular message to the people so that they could understand some of the things that he has been able to do, and I think that will have resonated in this particular opportunity that he has in going to the southeast, speaking to the people, touch the hearts of the people directly, telling them that yes, I love every Nigerian, I love every Igbo man, and I have had a fact of showing so, which I have done over the years. And if anybody will have criticized me, yes, I will apologize for my statement in certain areas, and yes, it was not meant to be derogative in certain way, but rather to say the way it is so that people can understand. These are lines of words that will resonate with the people, and you will see, I want to believe the people in the southeast are not that very mean not to have listened to the words of Mr. President. All they need is a reassurance of being carried along in the seed, in the workings of Nigerians. And every part of this country will have done almost the same, maybe even worse if certain situations happen. So that people need to have assurance from their leaders that they are not being deliberately being sidelined or going to extinction because of some of their actions which they may have done because of what they must have perceived. So all of these things work in one, but I think there will have been a better statement for the people of the southeast in terms of raising their hope and confirming that Mr. President is with the southeastern people. I salute his colleagues for going to the southeast, but I think the message would have been much better be delivered.
Let us look at the southeast as a region, and I'm going with what the president had said. At a meeting with leaders of the Igbo, and where he had said that the economy of this country is being held by the Igbo people, and also that there's just nowhere in this country that you go, no matter how far from cities and towns, you'll always find the Igbo man. So it speaks a lot and says a lot about the importance of the Igbo in the running of affairs of this country. And I also like to just take a bit from the President General of Ohaneze Ndigbo worldwide, and that's talking about Professor George Obiozo, who had said that the Igbos are like a fish in the ocean, and that you could never do away with them, and so they would always be part of the nation. So the call by IPOB to have a Biafran state or to go their separate ways in a nation like this. Now, where is this coming from? And if you also go by how the government or how President Muhammad Buhari's administration had supported Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as Director General of the Worldwide Organization, that's talking about World Trade Organization, WTO, and Dr. Chikwe Ikekweazu, Assistant Director General of World Health Organization, WHO. In all of this, that's international support for the Igbo, extraction of also as part of the Nigeria. So where's the call? What is it that the IPOB wants, that they want to go their separate ways?
Okay, simple truth. You see, perception matters in politics. When you talk about some of the action that Mr. President has done with regard to the support to individuals, yes, who have really shown their trade and been exemplary in nation building. But you see, the majority of the people that Mr. President needs to resonate with are the ones on the grassroots. They are the ones that will have defended Mr. President in certain way. Let me tell you something. You see, when no matter how perfect you are, if the people have a perception about you, wear the most beautiful clothes, let the best tailor must have sewn the best trousers for you as you dressed and all, the people will criticize you and say, look at him. He has worn a designer's shoe. he has worn a designer's trouser that was shown by Gucci and all. He's trying to mock us in our own states. But where the worst of trousers, the worst of tailors that would have sewn even your shirt, one hand being longer than the other, but you have resonated with the people, you have connected with the people, you have seen to their livelihood, their day in and out, their businesses does not suffer. They've been looking so fantastically well, they can help one another, and they feel that they can eat 3 square meal on their table and all. They will be the one that will come out and tell you that even that particular sewing of the hand, that one hand that is shorter than the other, is a designer's way of doing it's a new fashion. And people can even take into it and start sewing similar things. That is the perception in politics. That is how it is. The people are your own strength, how you communicate with them. Now, these are some of the areas in which I will mention one. One area is that the Igbos felt as if their businesses and other businesses have been targeted. Even though Mr. President has said it rightly that they stand so strong in the economy of this country, virtually almost every village. In fact, I have even a brother who called himself an Umaru. Even though myself, I have told you before that I was adopted as an Igbo son from the Agumanu compound in Umuna Urata in MCC Road there in Owerri. So I can claim Owerri as my home at any point in time. That is the kind of love that we want to see. I give you a simple example. The Igbo people are very good in importation of goods and services. And this happened in the Nigerian Port Authority. When they come in with their goods, they find it so difficult. It is being established, they find it difficult in clearing and double clearing of those particular goods and services from the Tinkan Island and other ports. And they feel that they are being singly being targeted in trying to stifle or stop their business from running. And so they feel that they don't have input. But if, let's assume that there have been accusations of importation of bad materials or recycled materials or substandard materials, there's nothing wrong with the government of the day making this particular fact known. If you are coming in with genuine goods and services, nobody should make it so difficult for you to get it into the country. These are some of the areas in which the people's business have been affected in Ebola, which they have also complained one way or the other. There are other areas too. They feel that probably some of the appointees of Mr. President, does not carry every aspect of this country, which also I alluded to the fact that even some of our listeners have challenged me to mention some of them. That is it not that the ministerial position, are they not carried everybody in there? And I said, no, it's far beyond that. There are other opportunities. When you get an opportunity, somebody leave an office, maybe an Igbo man leave an office, it is expected maybe an Igbo man will be replacing him or her. But the next thing you will hear probably is Northerner. And Mr. President has been accused of that particular nepotism without really giving reasons for some of them. And the reason that Mr. President sometimes always say that there are good men everywhere. But then we are in a cul-de-sac in the country that everybody feels as if his own person is not at a particular place, he feels that the country does not belong to him or her. He's not part of the country. And these affected seriously about the cooperation that the Mr. President will have gotten from the people in the Southeast. And I must say, with all level of respect, the Igbo people are very resilient people when it comes to looking for prosperity for themselves and probably for their areas. There's no Igbo village, they don't domicile in the cities, they domicile more in their villages. When you go into an Igbo land, you will know the villages are even more beautifully looking than even the cities. That is the way to develop. And I give it to them. And so such people, you cannot take away this particular simple fact from them. They are determined and dogged, and they are hard working. Even though they may be full, look at the whole total state of the Igbo people. The Igbo people total land space is not up to Niger State. Niger State is not up to Niger State. But yet, they are everywhere in this country. So you were wondering, how did they make that? How were they able to do that? So I have always advised that if they could do that in a country of this nature, they could have also transformed their ingenuity into possibly leading this country by making sure that they are everywhere, but they are politically inclined, which of course is a minus on our side of our own Igbo brothers, probably for one reason or the other. But then the truth about it is that the Igbo people cannot, just like Obiazo has said, cannot be annihilated because of their resilience and their doggedness and their hard-working nature and their prosperity nature in mind. They work hard to make sure that they don't live in abject poverty. And one of the things that we are having as a country is that particular lack of unity. And I said this, had it been our country, we are able to understand each other to a point that we give leadership a big role, that everybody is important and the right people are being given the opportunity to lead. And when they lead, other people follow. Then we will have been a very strong nation. Yes, some people will say the Nigerian Northerners have always said they are born to rule. Okay, let's assume it is so. Let's assume that the people in the Southwest are educationally endowed. Let's assume it's so. They are more better than other person in education. Let's assume it's so. Let's also assume that the people in the Southeast are technically and prosperity inclined. Let's assume so. So who told you that we cannot trade this particular God-given talent to go round? A Hausa man can also work with an Igbo man and let him know the trade of leadership, and then you come up perfectly out of it. A Yoruba man can teach a Hausa man how to go to school so that he can be a Westernly educated, and so he can share also with his own brothers. So we will put all of this mixed together, and I can tell you we can grow stronger. Somebody gave me a simple adage. He now said, when you take a corn, try to uproot a corn, try to put the first most difficult thing that you bite out of a corn is that first line. The moment you bite out those first line, all other things come easy. And so the corn remains so strong as a product when all of the eyes are together. So, but it becomes easier to uproot when you've already taken the first line. So we shouldn't, as a country, allow that first line in the corn to be removed. If we all stand together, the corn will look so beautiful and so chummy to eat. So that would have been attractive to the whole Western world or any country, or even within your own people as a nation. Make yourself attractive by making sure that all this mix that God has given us, mix them together so that we can get the best out of the country.
Okay, Dr. Yes, I'll have to go for a commercial break now. I'll be back with you shortly.
Okay.
Welcome back. It's the program Perspectives this morning. It's coming to you on Invicta 98.9. And we're looking at President Muhammadu Buhari's visit to Imo State and matters arising out of that. Now, Doctor, there's something that is coming up with the president. He has been talking about how he wants to be remembered, especially that managing the affairs of this country from the time that he came on board to his exit. And he had gone to Imo State again to re-emphasize that he wants to be remembered as a leader who stabilized the country in the area of security, economic prosperity, and triumph over corruption. He wants to be remembered for all of that. And looking at it, some public affairs analysts are looking at it maybe differently. For you, how is this coming out?
Well, the truth is that the divide has been there long even before he took over. What we were expecting for him to have done was to capitalize on the misfortune of the past leadership and unite the country. Unfortunately, they ran into hitches when regard to this particular area of appointment that I earlier mentioned. And so those that would have collaborated and worked with their president in terms of the issue of security did not really bring in their hoes and their cutlasses and their shovels to work, because they gave some time and then they now started painting the brush of this nepotism, which of course a lot of people harped on, including my humble self. And the truth about it is that if we have reversed that particular position over the years, then we will have been in the right direction. Although there have been serious accusations, even we in the north here have suffered so much despite the fact that we have been seen to be beneficiary of this appointment, but yet it has not really resonated with the people. You could see glaringly abject poverty and hunger, and then the level of insecurity that has affected our people. Just even yesterday, I was called in Kaduna that the bandits have already taken a new measures. In fact, they abducted some young men in Rigachukun area as a replacement for those, some of their bandits that are being killed in the battle in Zamfara. That was the statement that they made. So you could see the effrontery and the level of daredevil nature of the bandits and kidnappers that have taken this particular dimension. So some will now ask, what would have been Mr. President's action that would have helped in stemming down some of this insurgency? One, for us, we all believe that the step that Mr. President has taken in trying to connect with the people from the local government level, ensuring that funding gets to the local government, because the local government itself has been completely annihilated, directly or indirectly, by those who are governing. Those are the governors who have taken their funds to be funds belonging to the state administration rather than the local government administration, which has caused a lot of setback for this country. So I think Mr. President needs to go back to the drawing board by getting the people closer, those who are in direct contact with the people. I'm talking about the Nianguas, the Obas, the Obis, those who are closer to the people must be carried along. Some people have been suggesting that there should be a kind of a fourth tier of government, or probably house of chiefs, to give these particular leaders a semblance of leadership position. In other words, that would have required a constitutional reform, which a lot of people have been crying out for. And the National Assembly will have helped Mr. President in making these particular laws available with a lot of sincerity, because a lot of people see some of the attempts of the National Assembly have not been sincere, but rather it's rubber stamp house, because there are simple issues that would have been used in order to unite this country. And I don't know whether Mr. President have that laxity of time within now and the time he will hand over his leadership. But in the interim, as a short-term measure, I think the right kind of call will be the way in which he himself resonates with hope message that he gives to the people. And even as a dime, it's not issue about the hope in statement, but in action, i.e. that I said, Mr. President need to step up his action by going into some of these areas, like in the southeast, this eastern road, build up a cap, show the people how to do it. There are people in the south, go there, make sure that there are no more in those particular creeks. These are some of the action in appointment. Anywhere there's appointment, if there is one or two or three opportunity available, let it be seen that appointments are being given to north, south, and east, or central, as the case may be. Let it replicate regional, let it replicate tribe, let it replicate what would I call it, religion and all. That way it will start giving the people hope. Then they will start coming out of their shell to believe that yes, this government meant well for the generality of the people. These are actions that Mr. President needs to show by himself, because they say if a fish is going to be is rotten, it starts from its head. But when the head is sound and kicking in the right direction, the whole body of the fish will be accessible and very sumptuous to eat. But once the head is bad, the body becomes decay and it becomes so resented by the people. So now it still stops at the box of Mr. President to put his words into action by making sure that those powers that are within his own control, he replicate the interests of every part of this country. And I must say, there is enough for everybody in this country. There is enough. Only if the right peg is being put in the right hole, and you will have seen people that will give Mr. President some of those things that he wants to be remembered for.
So for you, this visit is in the right direction. This is to calm frayed nerves as it is.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
It is. It's key because one of my lecturers told me one thing. He said, money may not be the solution to every problem, but once you are in need, if you just even hear an alert in your phone, irrespective of that kind of money where it comes from, whether it was a loan or somebody give it to you, it automatically calms nerves. The alert will calm your nerves.
All right, Doctor, let me just go to the public domain and get thoughts too of listeners on the president's visit to Imo State and how that resonates with them. Numbers to call to be part of this conversation: 081 40,000 989, 081 40,000 989, or 070 87 800 989, 070 87 800 989.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Frank.
Yes, good morning.
And good morning to Doctor. Pius is calling you from Malawi this morning.
Pius.
Yes. What a welcome one from the doctor this morning. But let me quickly take on the president by saying that he would like to be remembered as the president that stabilizes the economy of this country, fight corruption and insecurity. So maybe his own cronies or subordinates, they are not telling him the actual truth, what is going on in this country. If he actually wants to achieve that, he should start putting the right people in the right places. That is one. Secondly, what I want him to do, as before he leave office, he should make sure he balances all the 6 political zones in terms of appointments. I think that is the best thing he can do in order to leave a very good legacy. Anybody that will come out to tell him that South have more appointments under his own regime than the other than the North, actually that person is not telling him the truth. So we are Nigerians and we know what is going on because he is from the North and we don't know where the next president will come. Should in case that next president come from somewhere, is it going to be, or is it going to be happy for that president to replicate what he has done in the office in terms of appointment and other things? So please, he should just sit up and start doing the right thing so that Nigeria will remember him for good.
Okay, all right, thank you, Pius. Still with your calls. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Still with your calls. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Tanya.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. I greet your guest. My name is Musa Bala.
Yes.
Yes, the truth of the matter must be told. The president visited Imo State not to appease anybody, but to do his work as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He has never ever regretted or rejected anybody in his government. All the 5 states in the Southeast were adequately appointed in his administration. There might not be enough for them, but he has not neglected anybody. He reappoints the governor of Central Bank of Nigeria from the Southeast. He has ministers from the Southeast. He has special assistants from the Southeast. And above all, he has given the Southeast the best of development that they have never ever gotten in the past 16 years in the party which they have supported throughout their time in democracy. So Mr. President don't have problem with anybody. Those people that have problem with him are the ones that campaign for people to lock up themselves in their homes. And he has no problem with that. He has called the few people that want him, they have welcomed him, and he has commissioned projects not for the federal government but for the state. So the president will still go to Southeast anytime the time demanded, but he is not there to assist anybody because he wanted him to do what he wants. No, he has accepted them wholeheartedly. It is them that have problem with him. And he will never stop the fight against corruption. He will never stop what he believes that will make Nigeria great. He has done his part. If they like, they should continue complaining. He will not stop them from complaining, but he will do his best. Thank you very much.
Okay, Musa Bala, thank you. One more call and then we come back to our guest. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello? Hello? Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning to your guest.
Yes.
My answer is Emmanuel.
All right.
I think your guest has spoken very well. I think for me, all the analysis he has made, if I should get him, I stand to be corrected. If there is fairness, equity, and justice, I don't think there will be a problem in this country. But when one region thinks that they are good in ruling, and now what are we seeing? The reverse is the case. Now, if the visit of Mr. President to Imo State, I don't think it will change anything. The only thing that will change something, let there be fairness. One of the ministers or one of his appointees says that the most beneficiary of his appointees are from the southeast. I want him to give us statistics of numbers of the appointees from that side. So let's know if what he's saying is being justified. Because I don't see a reason that people begin to say that people that benefit from the development of the president is from that side. Let them go and show us how many developments are in that place. People should not be in one place and be telling us that there are developments going on there. In what area? They talked about the second Niger bridge. Mr. Sayalabi, as a journalist, send your crew to that place and see if that place is completed the way they have been claiming. So please, on a nutshell, if they are talking about the issue of zoning, that these people are not good to, I think they should give it a try. Because I believe anywhere the evil man finds himself, he always succeeds. So if this region has failed us, has not given us what we want, let them give it to another person. Let's see how it will play out. Because this country belongs to everybody. It does not belong to one region. But they think that it belongs to them and it was with them because they are more in population. It does not work like that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Coming to you, Dr. Yunista Tanko.
Yes.
I've had Pius, Musa Bala, and Engineer Emmanuel on the line. Let me come with Pius. He's talking about the president having, the right people for the right places or at the right places. He has also talked about balance in the 6 geopolitical zones that the president needs to take on that. Musa Bala, too, said that the president had not in any way neglected any part of the regions, okay, and making mention of the reappointment of the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, ministers, special assistants in the governments of President Muhammadu Buhari. And so he sees that. For Engineer Emmanuel, he's talking about fairness, equity, and justice, and that will, keep the country going. Those are the takes that we've had from our callers.
The truth about it is that, let me start with Emmanuel. Fairness, equity, and justice build an egalitarian society. That's what a lot of us always want. Sometimes the person that you accuse may ended up being the person at the receiving end, and he will also be an accuser, or he accuses others. He may be at the receiving end. I give an example. Can you look at the way in which people are being killed in Zamfara State? Can you compare them with the level of killing or probably some of the things that happen in the South? No. So for them, where is the fairness for them? Where is the security for them? Or even let's assume those people who are being killed as Boko Haram people in the South, in the Northeast, the level of bombardment, you wake up in the morning, you are not sure where the bomb is coming from. These are the things that are happening in this country. So it affects every one of us. So the fairness must be equitable to all. Even the person that you accuse. The fairness should be to everybody. That way it builds a nation. And of course, myself and Musa Bala, we've been having this back and forth argument as regards to him talking about the appointment of Mr. President being nationalistic in look. Even though I was listening to Azuri, the special advisor on political space with Mr. President, trying to justify some of this or counter some of these issues as regards to this nepotism that Mr. President is being accused of. Let us look at it critically well. Politics is about perception. Politics is about perception. When you appoint people who are giving this particular symbol of nationalistic, constitutional, provisional look, that Mr. President cannot do anything about. But what do you talk about all the others? But because a lot of issues have risen before now, and then trying to put them in place now look like as if you are being nepotistic in nature, that creates a lot of apprehensive things in the minds of others. So when you make it, you try to balance the situation, and people seeing when you are chunking out at every point in time, you are bringing out the appointment that replicates the national outlook. It makes a meaning. But when the appointments are being seen to be one-sided, if it comes out today, it comes out in twinkles. And today, Mr. President will appoint 3 persons. When you see the 3 persons, probably they are northern extraction. Maybe some of them will be Muslim, some of them may be Christian, but all of them have a northern extraction. The next one is like that. The next one is like that. So why would Mr. President do it in a systematic manner? Like I said, the first appointment that he's making, there are 3 in number. 3 persons come out from every part of this country. When you make the next one, 3 persons come out, they come out from the different regions. That is the way the perception will go. And as a politician, we have learned this as leaders. So you must put that in place. So for all those of us who have worked and known Mr. President as a person, as a politician, give this advice as a free consultant for all. So do not always let us start putting up this argument in defense of our action that may be perceived wrong by others. Every person in this country has a right to say what is in his mind. So also is anybody in the north. But when we are being seen to have not been taking care of other persons or all, we correct it and so this, and bring out the wrong perception in it. That is the idea.
Okay.
So
yes.
And finally, the appointment of Emofule and the rest of them. Well, yes, it's good, but then other people too still kick against it at a point in time. Even in the north, they kick against it. They were not happy that Mr. Emofule was reappointed. It's a fact. You can go through this social media and see it. That they felt that he has not performed enough, or he has given so much room for all kinds of things to happen. And so Mr. President returned him again. They were very, very unhappy about it. It is there.
Okay, Dr. Unisa.
So don't put up this particular kind of soft defense and trying to say we are manipulating the system just because we want to defend somebody that comes from our own extraction. If anybody from our extraction does something good, we will come out and praise him. We'll be proud.
Okay, Dr.
Unisa. Be able to say it.
That's
how it is.
Like to thank you so very much for coming on the program with us this morning. Well, that has been the program Perspectives this morning, and like to thank my guest, Dr. Unisa Tanko, Chairman and National Conscience Party, and also a presidential candidate in the 2019 elections of the party. He is also the National Publicity Secretary of the National Consultative Forum. He's been our guest, a public affairs analyst too. Dr. Unisa Tanko, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me. God bless Kaduna and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
All right, and I'd like to also thank my colleague Gilead for connecting us with the people. Wisdom, thank you for putting us in the pictures. And our Copper, thank you for being part of it this morning. It's a Friday, at the beginning of a weekend. Have a wonderful weekend.